So what's it like publishing a Bible?
I mean, it's a little intimidating because people take it seriously,
Yeah.
and they're going to be memorizing out of it. And,
Yeah.
but I think watching that translation committee, we got everyone together in 2019, and we did a few minor revisions in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And watching how that translation committee went about their work, how they listened to pastors and other theologians who had made suggestions, and
Mm-hmm.
and then watching how they wrestled with certain shifts and changes
Yeah.
and stuff it was eye-opening to me and really moving at times, because I thought, man, these people love God, they
Yeah.
love the Word, but they love the church,
Yeah.
and they really care. But yeah, it was intimidating to be in those rooms, because I mean, I'm not like,
Well,
I'm not the
you
Greek
and I have
scholar
been
or
in
some of
enough
those
Greek
people.
classes where
Yeah.
the professor would say this
yeah,
this word can be translated two different ways.
That's
If
right,
you do
absolutely
this
right.
way, it opens
Yeah.
up this interpretation. If you do
Totally.
it this way,
yeah.
So-
And there's that line, and Schreiner used to say it too. He's not the first one to say it, but all translation is treachery.
yes,
Because there's, and this, if you're fluent in another language. I mean, I did mission work in Romania for 5 years. My wife's Romanian. We speak Romanian at home.
but that drives your kids nuts, doesn't it?
Well, our older two understand us, so we can't do the whole we're getting mad, let's go talk in Romanian thing. We can't do that. Our youngest is a lost cause at this point, but
Yeah.
our older two, they understand. But once you're really fluent in another language, that all translation there's no one correct way to
Right.
do a translation. You're always making choices,
Mhm.
and there's no one exact 100% correlation of
No.
a word to
Yeah,
another
you're
word.
always getting as close as you can.
You're in a conceptual world, and
Mhm.
you have to make those calls. It's tough. So
And
we have
not
good-
only that, but the word meanings change
That's right.
over
Oh, yeah.
generation and all
For sure.
that. So what was translated accurately 50
That's
years
right.
ago is now inaccurate.
yeah,
Or
misleading.
Yeah.
because
Well,
it doesn't
well,
mean
that-
it doesn't have the same connotation.
Yeah.
It's like John. That's the John 3:16 thing. For God so loved the world.
Mm-hmm.
For years, meant God loved the world in this way, which is the
Mhm.
way that the
That's
Greek
right.
is. But now we hear that though, and now we think God loved the world so much.
That's right.
That's not the way King James people would have heard it.
No.
They
No.
would have heard it closer to that original Greek meaning. So yeah.
Where did your love for language and text, and because the whole time I've known you, you've been an editor,
Writer,
a publisher,
yeah.
writer.
Yeah, ever since I was a kid. My mom tells me that I came back from the first day of kindergarten, and I slammed my little red panda backpack on the door. I was 4 years old, and she said I was mad. It's just like, how was your first day at school? Well, I went to school and I still don't know how to read.
I was there a whole day.
I was there a whole day. I thought I could now read all the signs. I don't know. She just said I was fascinated with trying to, when I was 3 and 4 already,
Yeah.
trying to decipher and read. And so I think I've always had that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been in a thing.
Well, you and I are here today to talk about a project that you and our friend Thomas West joined you on, a catechism of discipleship. Am I wrong in that when you guys were reading this text or putting this text together, I almost sensed some kind of frustration between the two of you, like it was, we're tired, or this is how you do it, right? Open this page, do this first,
Yeah.
and go through it. Did I misread that, or
I don't know that I'd
or is
say.
it just my own?
I don't know that I'd say it was frustration. It's more of a. I think it was more like we felt like we need to meet the challenge of our times,
Mm-hmm.
and we need more good tools to aid in discipleship, and there are some good tools out there, but the kind of tools we need right now are those that don't only lay out the basics of the Christian faith, but do so in a way that push against the cultural narratives that are most dominant in our society today, and that do so pretty explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's frustration at times, it comes from people often who will kind of know a certain doctrine, but they don't know how it actually counters
Right.
the world's doctrines that they're getting in the sort of catechism you get through the music you listen to, the movies you watch, all the other stuff. So I think if there's a pastoral frustration, it's more trying to rise to a pastoral challenge of our day and age in how we do discipleship.
Yeah, that was what I told parents when I was a student minister. I can't undo in a couple hours a week what you do 24/7.
That's right.
And we're discipled by whatever we pay attention to.
Yeah.
And sadly, for a lot of our friends, that's cable news
Yeah.
of whatever brand. And that's their worldview, and they have never sat down and talked about or thought out what it means in the school of ministry that we're starting. The first course is everyone's a theologian.
Yeah.
And whether you like it or not, you have a theology. And whether you realize it or not, you're making decisions based on that theology. So let's at least take the time as we begin this journey to talk about who God is, who we are in what his kingdom plan is, what that means.
That's right.
Kind of basic kind of thing that if you're not intentional about it, then you end up making a lot of decisions unintentionally,
And you wind up doing. There's always the danger, and every age of the church has to deal with this. But you have syncretism.
Right.
Is always the danger. You know, you're going to cobble together this biblical truth, but you might be putting it in a framework of this other story you're living in. So, and a lot of people, they come to church, God bless them, they're in church, but they come to church because they think the church is going to help them be moral, be the better person that they want to be, make connections for business. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why people come to church. And I'd rather them be in church than not be in church. But at the end of the day, to do real discipleship, we've got to not only say, here's what the Bible says, but here's what the Bible says and how it's over against what you've heard the world say.
Right.
If you don't do that second part, you wind up, people just sort of remix, and they sort of mix and match the parts of Christianity
And
they
Americans are famous for this.
Oh,
because
we do it really well.
We're so practical in
Yeah.
our thinking. It just has to work.
Right.
So if our theology is a little bit Jesus and a little bit
Sure.
Hindu and a little bit
Yeah.
Buddhist, then
Yeah.
okay, that works for me and I'm good.
And it's kind of like piece your own spirituality
Right.
together. And I think what we're wanting to, really lean in on this discipleship area is to say, we got to get back behind some of these
Right.
cultural stories that people are living according to, these narratives. Tim Keller was a big influence for us on this. Keller used to say in the last decade of his life,
the late pastor of
Redeemer
Church in New York.
City. Yeah, he would often say, if you look back at the history of catechism, all catechism is counter catechism, in that even in the Protestant ones, catechisms that came up that laid out the basics of the Christian faith in this question and answer format, they were generally, those classic Protestant catechisms were pushing against the medieval Roman Catholic
Right.
excesses of the time, and so that's how they were structured. That's what they were saying, was like, hey, this is Protestantism over against these other things, but they have that counter cultural element of the time. Well, today the main thing that we're dealing with in a secularizing society, that says be true to yourself is the most important thing in life. You've got gender ideologies. What is a human being? It's not even, we don't even have an agreement culturally on what is a human being, what does it mean to be male and female? Like the things you're going to have to counter are different culturally than they were back in the era of the classic catechism. So a good catechism is always doing a kind of
Pushing
a counter.
back,
It's
yeah.
going to account, but we felt like, well, we need something that does that a little more explicitly for our time.
Okay, so we're talking about pastors, church leaders. Let's not assume that everybody is with us on here. At least in my, if I'm grew up in Alabama and all that. I hear catechism. No, you're not going to catechism me.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's something that those other religions do.
Yeah.
And my mom, when she said don't date outside your religion, she meant don't date anybody who's not a Baptist.
You don't go to the Church of Christ.
No,
Pardon,
Lord.
yeah.
No, don't go to no Presbyterian.
Yeah, that's right.
That was what my mom meant. Now, when I told my boys don't date outside your faith, a nice Presbyterian Methodist would have been fine. So
Yeah.
So let's not assume here. What is a catechism, and why is it important?
Well, the cool thing is the Baptists have catechisms. We have from
yeah.
the beginning. So
Yeah.
if you go back to our Baptist history, you're not really giving up anything. It's kind of fell out of favor for a while, I think, because, and there is a way of you can do something really ritualistically or can get into like just rote. All that matters is you get the answer right. It doesn't really matter if you really even internalized or, there's always that danger of anything that's more like formal. But but that word is like really is kind of a scary word for some people. But it really just means it's a fancy word that's actually referring to a very simple concept. It's meant to be a simplified version of the Christian faith that lays out the basics of Christian doctrine in a question and answer format.
So why didn't you call it Cliff Notes?
Yeah, that's because most people don't memorize Cliff Notes. That's
right.
why. That the tool goes way back to like even the ancient church. Like
Before there was reading.
Yes, before people would get baptized, they wanted, as people were coming into the church in some of the early centuries of the church, they called them catechumens. They basically meant these are the people that are going through a catechism process. I started hearing the word more in Baptist circles when I did my mission work in Romania. Because that was they would talk, as they were preparing people for baptism, they'd usually do like a huge baptism service. Like it wasn't a baptism every week. It was like a service with like, 15, 20 people getting baptized. And it would be like, they all gave their testimonies and it was this massive celebration thing. They picked the hymn they wanted sung right after their baptism is that kind of thing. And, but in that process, like leading up to the baptism, they would go through a couple of months of just, they called it catechism, which it was basically just training. Hey, here's what you're, here's what you're confessing.
Here's the commitment you're making.
Yeah, this is commitment you're making. There's kind of a lull in the whole catechism thing until the Reformation era. Then it like explodes again. And you've got like, Calvin in Geneva, Luther and, Germany. I mean, they're all creating these catechisms. You have Swiss versions and all they're kind of popping up all over the place. And the Baptists did it too. I mean, Spurgeon famously repurposed a catechism that had also been in, there's, old Baptist Benjamin Keach had a catechism. And so there's all these, and they're all borrowing from each other. It's not like they're presenting some
as Baptist preachers do.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're borrowing from the Bible.
Right,
so,
yeah.
But it's really just an ancient discipleship tool. It's how do I get into bite-sized chunks that are like, potent answers that have every word matters and is packed with meaning in a way that's memorizable. So it's like there's a little bit of a flow to it. Michael Card actually gave us some suggestions on the styling for this, the singer-songwriter, which was good because we needed help not just in the, putting the catechism together, but also in, hey, does this sound good?
That's right, yeah.
Because there's an ear, you got to have an ear for it.
Does it flow off the tongue? Does it stay?
Because you want people to learn it.
Okay. So the catechism is the ancient formation and a shortened version of the tool. But if I'm hearing you right, we've rediscovered it or reemphasized it because we live in a world with an 8-second attention span.
Right. Yes, and that's part of the challenge here is that we're not a world that memorizes as much.
Why should I? I can Google it.
I can Google everything.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised at how much stuff we do still memorize.
Oh, yeah.
Without realizing it.
Yeah.
I mean, people know every word. Like you watch people at a concert.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Who
know every single word of whatever it is. Like, especially in that, man, there's that age 10 to 20 or something. The music, I tell people, like, the music you listened to when you were 16 years old and you knew by heart, you never lose it.
You never
Even
lose it.
if you want to.
Yeah.
Like it is there. So I just think I think we sell ourselves short a bit if we
Sure.
think that there's not a place for this kind of thing where you're really, really digging in to, good, solid questions and answers, and you're getting and you want for some people new to the faith, this is going to be like crash course in Christianity.
Right.
50 basic questions and answers covering the basics of the faith. For people that have been in Christian for a long time, this will be like a tune-up kind of thing where,
Right.
and we've already heard from people saying, man, I like this answer really challenged me. I think I bought into some of these things I hear out in the culture.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it.
Yeah. What I liked about it is, that is well said.
Yeah.
That's
the goal.
That is, I'm going to remember that sentence.
Right.
Because I have fumbled this answer before.
Yeah.
These guys got it right. So how do we best use this tool in our churches?
So, number of ways. If you're looking to implement it in kids ministry, we've got a kids version coming out in 2026 that we're excited about. What we've put together, we really wanted older students and adults for this first one. The kids version is even more simplified. It's just, even if we already took Snickers bar, we do the snack size Snickers bar for the kids for next year. It's been fun to watch churches already doing stuff with it. So some are using it in their student ministry. They're doing it one a week,
Right.
and they're like, hey, memorizing it, talking about it. There's discussion questions with it, talking about the commentary. There's a workbook that goes with it. So we're seeing that. We're seeing some pastors say, hey, we're actually reading out the question and having the church respond with the answer on Sunday mornings during the service. Like at one little point in between songs,
right.
they're just like, here's our catechism question, back and forth. We're seeing small groups that are using it.
Right.
Some that are doing
makes
one a
some
week,
sense.
and some that are like concentrating it. And we're doing all of them in 7 weeks. That kind of thing. We're going through one unit at a time, which that's a little much. But if you've got a group of fairly mature Christians that are just that want to just get a tune-up kind of thing, could totally see that working. But I do. And we're seeing some situations where it's in family discipleship. Like I've already hearing from parents doing it with their teenagers. They're like, hey, we're doing this every day. We're doing another one. And we're kind of going through and we're talking about it. It's starting some great conversations. So that's been the main way that we've seen people using it.
When you're putting this together and you're dealing with all of these great truths of the faith, all of them and you have dealt with in some form in your career, your ministry, often. Which was the moment that caught you, that surprised you, or brought you to worship, or a new understanding?
Yeah, there were a bunch of those actually, but I think the questions and answers we did about Jesus, those were ones that hit us hard while we were working on them, because the world has its conception of who Jesus is, and the real Jesus is just so much better.
Oh yeah,
he's so much better than what's kind of on offer, and even frankly, what's on offer sometimes in sort of the overly palatable versions of Jesus, sometimes even the church puts
right. Yeah.
He's so much more majestic and ferocious in his love. Like that. He's like, we reduce him. And so when we talk about Jesus, I mean, we have one question, who is the Son of God? And it talks about Jesus. And then later we talk about Jesus. We have one about his life, his identity in life, and then his death, and then his resurrection. And then we have his ascension. And each one of those is just filling out this picture that really does make him the center of everything. So I think about that. I think about those in particular. But there's some others too. Like we have some questions that are not in your traditional catechism. Like a question like, what is freedom?
Right.
That doesn't show up in a traditional catechism, but in our day and age,
It wouldn't have to be. Yeah.
people have all kinds of view of what freedom is, and it doesn't line up with what the scripture teaches freedom is. So you have to undo some of the worldly story around some of these things. And so, yeah, but it's, there's a there's a worshipful element to the whole process. Thomas and I worked on it for really 2 years, week after week, testing it in a local church environment. And it, there were times when we would get to the end of one of them and it would just be like, we were thankful that we felt like it was well said. Mm-hmm. We got good feedback from people, but there were times when we'd go back over them when we were refining them after friends and other theologians and other people were speaking into it. And we'd come across one and we got it. You just get it to a point and you're just like, it's beautifully said, and where it moves the heart, not just the head.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we're going for.
Well, I think you've done it. It is a great resource that I would encourage all of our pastors and churches to be part of. What's the best way to get hold of it?
Well, you can go to Gospelwaycatechism.com and you can see there's a site there. Eventually the kids' catechism will be on there too.
Okay.
But and you could get a link to all the places it's sold. I mean, basically any bookstore, anyone selling resources you'll be able to find it. But Harvest House is the publisher of this. They've been really helpful. If there's pastors looking at this as potentially implementing in their church, they want a sample or something. I mean, there's ways to get in contact with them, and they really want to bless pastors with this, because they know that's Thomas and I. It's our heart too, is to really bless the church. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that as coming in this morning, I'm listening about AI and the companies here kind of stuff and all the challenges we're facing with the pushing in of culture, but the answer is going way back to the foundation and to the basics.
That's right.
Of our faith and what we believe.
This isn't going to change.
No, this not.
That's what I tell people this, because I think sometimes pastors, it's so easy right now to feel just like thrown off the cultural moment. The vibe shifts in this way and that way, and all, like just trying to figure out like where are we supposed to be. And whenever things are crazy and chaotic, I'm always like, well, then go back to the basics.
Yeah. Who was it that said he felt all kind of pressure to jazz up Easter?
Yeah. It's jazzy enough.
How do I say something new and creative about Easter?
Christmas too.
Yeah,
that's
right. It's kind of
it's like,
thing.
No, when people want to hear that old story,
that's
if they're
why
coming
I'm
to church
here.
on Christmas and Easter,
tell me.
You better give them that. Like, you don't have to have the fancy, I'm preaching from this strange passage to make a connection. It is.
So I had to be creative there. It's creative.
No. Yeah.
It's more creative than you could ever be
That's absolutely right.
in that moment.
Absolutely right.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Any way we can help in this project, we certainly want to do that. He's Trevin Wax. He and our friend Thomas West have put together the
Gospelway Catechism.
Gospelway Catechism. And it is available wherever books are sold and on gospelwaycatechism.com. I'm Mike Glenn, and this is the Engaged Church Network podcast. Do us a favor on your way out and hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.